This is the Generac 7043, a 22 kilowatt home standby generator that kept my house running like nothing happened during the last storm. The real win is how it takes over without me touching a thing, then lets me check on it from anywhere through a simple wireless internet connection. It falls into the whole home backup category. That means it is designed to sit outside like a central air conditioning unit, connect to natural gas or liquid propane, and automatically power an entire home when utility power drops. It makes the most sense for anyone who has a refrigerator full of food, a sump pump, a medical device, a home office, or an air conditioning system they cannot afford to lose. If you have ever come back to blinking clocks and spoiled groceries, or worried about a basement filling with water, this kind of generator is the calm answer. The design looks straightforward, which I appreciate. The enclosure feels solid and weather-ready, and the finish has held up through heat, rain, and freezing wind. The size is not small, but once it is in place on a concrete or composite pad, it blends into the yard better than I expected. The access panels open easily for maintenance, and the lid locks, which matters when you have kids around or you live in a neighborhood where you want to avoid any curious hands. There is a simple status light on the front, so I can glance over and know if it is ready, running, or needs attention. Little touches like that make daily ownership easier because I am not opening panels just to get a quick read. Setup is where I was very intentional. I hired a licensed electrician and a licensed gas technician. I planned the spot with proper clearance for airflow, made sure the exhaust points away from windows and doors, and had a proper pad installed. The 200-ampere automatic transfer switch went between the meter and the main panel, so the entire house is covered. When the power drops, it senses the loss and does the handoff for me. I did not want to cut corners with something that handles high voltage and fuel, and getting a professional install paid off. After that, I connected it to my home wireless internet, created an account in the phone application, and set the weekly exercise schedule. The wireless setup took a couple of tries because my backyard signal is not the strongest, but once I moved my router a bit closer and added a small mesh node, the connection settled in. Now I get alerts when it runs, when it finishes, and if it ever needs service. Using it day to day mostly means not thinking about it, which is a compliment. It performs a quiet self-test every week at a reduced speed, so it is way less noisy than a full run. That self-test also keeps the battery charged and circulates oil so it is ready. When the lights do go out, there is a short pause while the engine fires up and the transfer switch does its job. In my experience, that is around 10 seconds, just long enough for me to register the outage and then hear the generator settle into a steady hum. Inside the house, the transition is smooth. Lights might blink once, then everything carries on. What matters most with a generator is power quality and staying power. This one is rated at 22 kilowatts, and that translates into real household breathing room. I have run my central air conditioning, the refrigerator, the deep freezer, the well pump, the oven, lights, and the network gear at the same time without weird dimming or breaker juggling. The voltage feels stable. Sensitive electronics like my computer and the network hardware did not flinch. I also tested starting the air conditioning compressor while the oven was preheating. That momentary spike is usually where weaker systems protest, but here it just handled it. The engine note deepened for a moment and then settled. Noise is always a question with generators. This is not whisper quiet, but it is lower than the roaring portable units I used to keep in the garage. During the weekly exercise mode, it fades into the background, especially if you place it smartly behind the house and maintain the recommended distance from walls. Under full load, you hear a steady engine sound outside. Inside, with windows closed, it is more of a faint background presence. If you live very close to neighbors, placement and a good pad make a difference. I also learned that keeping the intake and exhaust areas clear helps the engine breathe and keeps noise consistent. Real weather testing is where this machine earned trust. During a long summer outage after a lightning strike took down a line, the generator ran steadily for hours. The refrigerator and freezer stayed cold. The house stayed cool. The sump pump cycled normally. I worked from my desk as if nothing happened, with stable internet and no fear of the computer shutting down mid-project. In a winter wind event, it kept the furnace blower going and prevented the pipes from freezing. The wireless internet notifications were reassuring. I got a ping when it started, a summary when it switched off, and a heads up for the next self-test. When I traveled for a long weekend, I could glance at the application, see the status, and relax. Peace of mind matters more than any spec sheet, and this gave me that. One specific use case that surprised me was running a home workshop during an outage. I turned on the air compressor, a dust collector, and a table saw while the air conditioning and fridge were still running. I was expecting to trip something, but it managed the load well. If you are into home cooking, it also handled an electric oven and a microwave at the same time during a dinner rush without any drama. For families with medical gear like a small oxygen concentrator or a powered bed, the consistent output means you can plan confidently. Just make sure your essential devices are on circuits that the transfer switch covers, which is how mine is wired. The smart features actually feel smart. The wireless internet monitoring works from my phone and from a web dashboard. It shows runtime hours, last test, and any maintenance reminders. I set the weekly exercise window to a time that does not disturb anyone. The quieter self-test mode is more than a convenience. It saves fuel and cuts noise, which is good for neighbors and good for the engine. The unit is built in the United States, and the 5-year limited warranty gives me confidence that if something does go wrong, I am covered. The lockable enclosure adds a layer of safety. With high voltage and a fuel source on site, I want a hard stop for curious hands or tampering. There are a few things I would change. The initial wireless setup could be smoother. If your router is far from the yard, plan on adding a mesh node or an extender. The phone application is functional, but sometimes notifications arrive a little after the event. Nothing critical, but it is worth noting. Routine maintenance is straightforward, though you will still need to schedule oil changes and replace the battery over time. I put reminders on my calendar for filter checks and oil changes based on run hours. Fuel also matters. On liquid propane, you need enough tank capacity for extended outages. On natural gas, it is worth asking your gas provider to confirm the meter can handle the generator plus your usual appliances. I did that once and now I do not think about it. Everything around installation matters as much as the generator itself. I took time to place it on a solid pad, checked the local codes, and made sure the exhaust direction is safe. I keep shrubs trimmed around it for airflow. I test my emergency lighting and essential circuits during the monthly exercise just to be sure everything I care about is actually powered the way I expect. Small habits like that pay off when a real storm hits. After months of living with it, I see this machine not as a gadget but as part of the house. It is there so the family is comfortable, the food stays safe, and work is not interrupted. It has already proven itself under pressure. It does not ask for attention day to day, and when it does need something, the alerts are clear and the access panels make quick work of it. I have owned portable generators in the past, and they have their place, but pulling cords in the dark and juggling fuel cans is not something I want to repeat. This just takes over. If you want reliable whole home power without the hassle of manual starting and extension cords, the Generac 7043 is easy to recommend. It is best for homeowners who want automatic coverage, who can have it installed by licensed professionals, and who value remote visibility from their phone. If you are in a smaller home with limited power needs, or you do not want a permanent install, a portable unit might make more sense. If you can place a standby unit properly and you want that quiet confidence when storms roll through, this one delivers. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments what you want to know next, or share your own experience with standby power. Thank you for watching.